Donald Trump, let's just break it down. Half the public basically thinks he's a dirtbag and couldn't think worse of him. Even if he had never met E. Jean Carroll, my opinion about him would be pretty much the same. And then there's the other half of people who don't believe anything that's negative about Trump and refuse to listen. So exactly where are the damages?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to George Conway Explains It All. To Sarah, I'm Sarah Longwell, publisher of the Bulwark, and because I'm not a lawyer, I've asked my good friend George Conway from the Society for the Rule of Law to explain the legal news to me. But, there's legal news. I want to get to Fani Willis.
It's just illegal news.
But first I want to start with the illegal news. We're going to have to rebrand the show around illegal news. But I want to talk about Elon for a second. I don't know if you know about the president we elected. He's the richest man in the world.
President-elect Elon.
President-elect Elon Musk, exactly. What do you make of the fact that this person that nobody elected seems to be Trump's enforcer, running around the hill, killing bills, and that everyone's taking their marching orders from him? Like, what's up?
It's strange, but is it really any stranger than anything else that we've seen over the past 6 or 7 years? Maybe. Probably is, actually. Look, I mean, what we have here are these malignant narcissists kind of swirling around each other, attracted to each other, yet spinning the way black holes do around each other when they're about to merge and destroy everything around them.
I was on Nicole yesterday, and she asked a question that I thought was interesting, and I didn't quite know how to answer that. I wonder how you would answer, which is, Trump, because he's a narcissist, doesn't like it when people say things like Elon Musk is the real president. But right now, Trump seems to be tolerating it just fine. So what do you make of it?
No, you look at the thing about him is like, you don't know when the volcano is going to explode. We just know that at some point he's going to become unhappy. But the problem with that here is, Elon could start, Elon's got $400 billion. He could just spend $2 billion of that. You're just trying to bomb Trump. So Trump actually is somewhat afraid of Elon.
Oh, that's a good point.
And so Trump has put himself in a very, very tricky position. He's capable of putting himself in situations where he compromises himself. Again, I don't know. I'm not saying I don't know exactly what it is, but in some manner, way, shape, or form, he has a fear of a healthy respect of Putin. I think some of that is developing with Musk, and it's going to be very, very interesting to see how much of this Trump is going to take. And then if Trump gets tired of it, how does he undo what he has done so far? Because he's not appointed this guy to any job. He's making him head of an agency that doesn't exist, and I don't think there's any legislation pending that's going to make it exist. Maybe they will try to pass legislation to make it exist.
How could it not exist? It has such a cool logo that looks like my kid's Paw Patrol.
It's exactly. I mean, I hereby appoint Clyde to be Secretary of Dog Food.
Yeah, we need one of those.
Right. And the only difference is I don't have a social media site with tens of millions of followers where I can basically create an algorithm that pumps out my uninformed bullshit to all of the subscribers, regardless of whether they really want it or not. So it's really going to be very interesting here. And I think I'm happy to see people. I mean, the Lincoln Project did this great little ad yesterday, or just an audience of one ad where they're basically, it's teasing Trump about being Elon Musk's basically servant. And you hear Democrats talking about, well, who's this guy, Musk? It's not looking, at the end of the day, it's not looking great for Trump. And that is going to start bothering him at some point. And how that plays out is anyone's guess. If Elon Musk were not the world's richest man, capable of wasting $44 billion on a social media site that was worth only, I don't know, 5 or 10 probably. I have no idea. Or he made it worth 5 or 10. I don't know how he's going to get rid of Elon that easily.
It's a really good point that I hadn't quite thought about, the fact that it's not like normally Trump loses his mind, but normally over any, Bannon, right? But like, he's bigger than Bannon, obviously. Like nobody's bigger than Trump, but Elon's pretty close.
Yeah, and he, I was a fleeting thought just crossed my head about how to phrase this. Trump is completely transactional. Trump is usually, as you just said, holding the upper hand. He can't hold the upper hand with Elon, because Elon, here's how Trump gets what he wanted from the Republican Party. He bullied them, intimidated them, and basically used, the power of his charisma, or whatever you want to call it, is whatever it is that he has over the base Republican electorate. He bullies everyone. Well, Elon's a bully too, because they are the same personality type. They check pretty much the same boxes, which is sort of what draws them to each other, but also creates the potential for incredible conflict. But Elon tweeted something the other day that said, there is a graveyard of people who have crossed me, or something like that. It's the same mentality. And they, as we know, following along with Trump, a malignant narcissist doesn't quit very easily. They can't help themselves. They keep banging away. And that's the reason why he basically exhausted the Republican ruling class into submission. But Elon is the same way. And Trump has let him into the House. And I don't know how you get rid of him that easily. It's sort of like, the House, people in the Republican Party couldn't get rid of Trump because they let him in. They let him in the door, and then he bullied them and cowed them. Well, the same thing could happen to Trump. So I'm not willing to put a wager on how long this lasts or how it works out.
Yeah, it's interesting. Something occurred to me while I watched Elon and Vivek bully Mike Johnson and via text, and then kill the continuing resolution that he'd been working on by threatening to primary people. It was so funny. And I realized that actually it's possible. Look, so many dangerous and bad things could happen and probably will happen. Trump is nominating very dangerous people. But also, there is something kind of funny about watching a bunch of people who have empowered. I was watching Dan Crenshaw fight with Cat Turd on X yesterday. And these Republicans...
You think that's really good use of your time?
Well, but these Republicans have invited... Look, this is where I'm going to get my joy over the next 4 years, which is the Republicans have empowered a bunch of crazy people who are now ruling them, right? And they have to deal with the fact they all cozied up to Elon, and now they've got to let Elon and Vivek Ramaswamy, they're going to torpedo their bills, threaten to primary them if they don't do exactly what they want. Democrats can and should sit there and be like, not our problem. And and Sam Stein has a piece in the Bulwark about kids' cancer research that's about to get unfunded. So it's not funny that we can't fund the things that are important to fund. But Republicans will have to own every inch of this. And I think right now they think, if we shut down the government during Christmas, Joe Biden will be to blame because he is the president. I don't think that's right. And I think like this, but there's part of me that's like the sooner Republicans demonstrate that they are unfit to govern to the American people, the better.
Yeah. And I think that's right. I think we need to cheer them on. I think, there was a proposal the other day to make Elon Musk Speaker of the House.
And I say, do it. Do it.
Let's do it. Just let's get this. I mean, I was talking to a very a famous Democratic consultant 2 or 3 weeks ago at a post-election dinner, and she made exactly this point to me. It's like, let's get this over with. Let's do it. Yeah. Let's have things go. Let them make things go south. Don't protect them. Make it the faster, the better.
Yeah.
And that's kind of scary because we don't know how deep this submarine is going to have to go before it implodes.
Yeah. And look, I don't know. I personally believe that there are things we should do because you have to protect some things, like the rule of law or free and fair elections, but like, or kids to get polio vaccines. Like there are things that I think we should fight hard over, but for a lot of the governing stuff, like because like I've been doing the post game analysis with the voters, and half of them say they voted for Elon. Like they're like, yeah, Trump, but like I liked who he surrounded himself with. I liked that Tulsi was in there. I liked that Elon was in there, and it's like, okay,
I like Elon's going to run Elon and Trump will run the government like a business.
Yeah. Yeah. Right? Well, Trump bankrupts most of his business. Trump is the only guy that can bankrupt a casino. So, we'll see. We'll see. Okay. Let's get to our first sponsor today, which is OneSkin. Is your skin feeling drier than normal? Turns out there's a scientific reason for that. Something today's sponsor, OneSkin, the first company to target skin aging at the cellular level, knows all about. Your skin barrier, the outermost layer of your skin, gets compromised during the winter due to things like colder temperatures and lower humidity. The difference between OneSkin's products and others on the market is that OneSkin is formulated with their proprietary OS1 peptide. This is a peptide that the 4 founders, who are all skin longevity scientists, developed after testing 900 other ingredients, and it's scientifically proven to switch off the aging, dysfunctional cells that cause collagen breakdown and compromise skin barrier. In fact, in lab and clinical studies, OS1I, OS1 Face, and OS1 Body were proven to increase barrier function in addition to improving overall appearance in 100% of users. That's everybody. Now you can try OneSkin's top sellers in their limited edition holiday bundle, $149 value for just $99. This exclusive set includes travel sizes of OS1I, OS1 Face, and OS1 Body in an elegant leatherette bag. I've got that. It's cool. It's the perfect gift for anyone who wants healthier, more hydrated skin. For a limited time, get 15% off using code AskGeorge when you check out at oneskin.co. This holiday season, invest in your skin's long-term health because healthy aging is a gift. I know in the winter, I don't know about you, George, but the moisture just leaves my body and I'm itchy. And I just like, this stuff is so good. I want to just, sit in a vat of it.
That's right. It on. I mean, I probably use too much of it actually. But yeah,
is that because you think I look so young that I'm overusing it?
Well, you're actually young. I'm old. But I'm talking about me. I slather it on myself.
Oh yeah,
because I need it.
I keep it all around my desk, and it's the best. I love this sponsor. They are founded and led by an all-women team of longevity scientists. OneSkin is redefining the aging process with their proprietary OS1 peptide, the first ingredient proven to help skin look, feel, and behave like its younger self. Get 15% off with code AskGeorge at oneskin.co. That's 15% off oneskin.co with code AskGeorge. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Invest in the health and longevity of your skin with OneSkin. Your future self Well, thank you. And George, I don't know if you noticed, but half the comments on our YouTube channel is about how good you look. And so, you can thank OneSkin for that. Yeah. Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about the Trump lawsuits that we have been seeing already. He sued ABC over George Stephanopoulos' use of the word rapist, which ABC settled. I understand that it was really Disney, but geez, I can't believe they did it. He sued CBS over the 60 Minutes Harris interview, alleging that it was selectively edited. He sued CNN for using the term big lie, and he sued the Des Moines Register and Ann Selzer for consumer protection fraud for publishing her poll that showed Harris ahead. What is going on? A poll, an outlier poll. Can you sue for that?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
I don't see how it's a consumer protection issue, and I don't see how it's not protected by the First Amendment. So that's a frivolous lawsuit. The big lie strikes me as factual, so that's a bullshit lawsuit.
What are they going to do? What are they going to do? Argue that it was a small lie? What is the...
CBS editing Kamala Harris? They have, you edit this podcast. People edit this stuff for time and so on and so forth.
Right.
And unless it actually was edited in a manner that creates a defamatory statement about Trump, I don't see how he could possibly have a claim. And then to go back to the ABC settlement, I mean, there was no claim there either, although it's a little bit harder to explain that and requires kind of description of what it is the jury actually must have found Trump to have done, and what else he may have done but wasn't necessarily proven to the satisfaction of the jury. And to my mind, the difference isn't great. I mean, Stephanopoulos did. I mean, there's this very good thread on Blue Sky by Bill Gruskin, who is a former Wall Street Journal, I think, managing editor and a dean of the Columbia J School and teaches there now, where he goes through the interview of Nancy Mace by Stephanopoulos, the one that produced this libel suit by Trump. And it was a weird interview. Stephanopoulos wouldn't let this go. He was basically saying, you're a survivor of rape. How can you support Trump, who a jury found to have committed rape? And the claim was that, no, the jury didn't find Trump to have committed rape. And that's true, except that New York defines rape as penetration via a penis. And then it has a separate crime for sexual abuse that involves penetration of a vagina by other means, such as fingers, which is what the testimony of E. Jean Carroll said. Now, the problem with the testimony, and it wasn't really a problem, was that Carroll was absolutely certain that Trump grabbed him by the you-know-what and inserted his fingers. There was so much going on, so much commotion. She admitted on cross-examination that although she had thought that he inserted his penis, she could not be absolutely sure. And so the jury took that and said, well, it doesn't matter because we can still hold him liable. I mean, this is my speculation of what the jury did. So they just checked the sexual abuse box, didn't check the rape box, and they awarded her damages. And then they found that because obviously they found that this event in the department store, this horrific event in the department store actually happened. He therefore libeled E. Jean Carroll when he repeatedly called her a liar. And then, in the other case that followed on, he did it, these were other claims of defamation. And that's why he owes her $88.3 million. So, but the judge, after the case was over, was faced with a bunch of motions, and including a motion to allow Trump to file a defamation suit against E. Jean Carroll that basically asserted he's basically totally exonerated. The jury found him not guilty or not to have committed rape. And the judge basically said, well, in the common parlance, people consider this rape. I mean, many states, digital rape is considered rape. And so that was the bid and the ask, if you will, between what Stephanopoulos said and what the jury and the judge found. It's like this. Okay. And technically if ABC did misstate things, Stephanopoulos did screw it up multiple times, but the apology should have been, we're sorry if we left the impression to viewers that Donald Trump inserted his penis as opposed to his fingers forcibly into a woman's vagina in a department store. There's a doctrine called substantial truth in libel law, which says that if you kind of get the details not quite right, but fundamentally you're saying what the true facts are actually kind of just as bad, or pretty much just as bad, the plaintiff can't recover. And it's like the best example I can think of off the top of my head, if this were a law school seminar, was, let's suppose Donald Trump went out onto Fifth Avenue and stabbed some people with a knife and killed them. And it was reported, and some newscaster basically got it wrong and said he shot 5 people and killed them on Fifth Avenue. But in fact, he actually committed hara-kiri with a knife or a machete or something. That person would not be held, that network should not be held liable, because what Trump actually did was kill 5 people. That was the bad thing that he did. Doesn't matter what weapon he used. And that's basically why this case was not going anywhere. In addition, that's just on the question of whether or not a defamation was committed. On the question of whether Trump suffered damage, there's a doctrine called being libel proof. It's not really a doctrine. It's just something that happens every so often with really bad people, where their reputations are essentially so bad that you can't hurt their reputations any more than they already have been hurt. You have to prove damages in a defamation case, that your reputation was harmed and that it caused you monetary harm, or or at least some kind of harm in the community to your reputation. With Donald Trump, let's just break it down. You got, oversimplifying here, half the public basically thinks he's a dirtbag and couldn't think worse of him. I couldn't think worse of him, right? So it doesn't, even if he had never met E. Jean Carroll, my opinion about him would be pretty much the same.
Right.
And then there's the other half of people who don't believe anything that's negative about Trump and refuse to listen. So exactly where are the damages? There were none. So this case was worth exactly zero in settlement value, except for the legal fees and legal costs, or except if you, for some reason, wanted to be on good terms with the plaintiff. So I leave it to we can only speculate what was going through Bob Iger's head when he authorized it. And that sometimes happens in corporate America. And it happens with, people who you just basically, I don't need this lawsuit. It's a pain in the ass. Let's just get rid of it. Okay. And $15 million is, nothing.
Nuisance money. Yeah. Just like,
it's not even nuisance money for Disney. Okay. I mean, It sells probably more Mickey Mouse paraphernalia in an hour than, it's probably like selling Mickey Mouse material for an hour probably paid for this settlement. Yeah. And so, but the problem is, this is a media organization. That's the problem. This is a media organization, and traditionally, they don't settle these cases.
Right.
Okay. Unless there's something really, really bad and the case is, there's some bad document or bad evidence or something. And in this case, I'm sure there was no such bad evidence that could have led to this judgment because there wasn't a harm to begin with. I mean, even if you had 50 emails to him saying, don't say rape, don't say rape, don't say rape, don't say rape, don't say rape. And even if you could prove that the people talk in the control room that the producer was saying in his ear while he's interviewing her, don't say rape, don't say rape, don't say rape. Let's just assume that's like the worst possible fact that you could have, or it shouldn't make any difference because of the doctrine of substantial truth doesn't go away just because somebody new was told they were making this tiny mistake, and it doesn't create damage. So this case was worth nothing other than its value, the legal fees that you could save by writing a check. And traditionally, as I was about to say, news organizations don't settle these because it sends the wrong message.
Yeah.
It tells their journalists that we don't have your back. If somebody raises a peep about a mistake you made, or here list a minor mistake, we're gonna admit that we're gonna give in, and that's a terrible message. And the journalists, the professional journalists that I know, who all know pretty much the libel laws and the defamation laws, which aren't really that hard, are just singularly appalled. And it just sends a terrible message. I mean, I don't know what it is that they want to get the next Oval Office interview. Who the hell knows?
No, they just don't want to be at war with the president of the United States because this is where Trump openly saying how vindictive he's going to be has made everybody lose any spine. Normally, you're right, they have deep pockets. Like the idea, and this is sort of leads to my next question, but not only did ABC use that terminology, and I know you said you're calling it a mistake. Even I wouldn't go that far. I would say it's a technicality. And force them to make the argument that jamming your finger in somebody without their consent isn't rape. It is. And so I guess my question would be, does it make it, I absolutely agree with the chilling effect it has across people. I mean, the number of journalists now who are thinking, and this is what Trump wanted, right? He wants to put people on notice, chill them, make them fear that he will come after them for anything against him. And it will have a psychological impact. But my actual legal question is, because so many people used that term that ABC caved on, will he go after other places that also used it?
I don't know whether he will do that, but he could, if he does, and he's capable of doing it, he could snatch defeat from the jaws of victory, which he does from time to time.
Yeah.
If he chooses to sue someone else for using the word rape to describe what happened, my favorite term now, which is absolutely bulletproof, is digital rape, because that's what happened. Okay, they the MAGAs aren't going to understand. They're going to think it is, wait a minute, he did it with a computer. I don't know. But that if he sues somebody else and somebody else decides, fine, let's litigate this, he's going to end up talking about this case and getting the judge was ordering his deposition for this week in that case. Okay, he could have been deposed on it. He brings another one of these cases with somebody who's not going to cave, and that deposition is going to happen. And we're going to be talking about exactly what he was found by a jury to have done. And we're going to hear more about the 3 post-trial opinions in the E. Jean Carroll case, where Judge Lewis Kaplan, one of the best federal judges, probably one of the best federal judges in the Southern District of New York, if not in the country, said 3 times, I believe, in multiple opinions, that what happened, what the jury had to have found, was rape in the colloquial sense, and in the sense that is also, it's defined under other states' laws. Which New York just has this archaic division.
Okay. All right. Well, sorry to our next sponsor for having to transition out of that particular conversation right into the search is over. Hexclad is the perfect gift for your significant other this holiday season. Your partner will absolutely love it, but it's secretly a gift for you. With Hexclad's non-stick and stainless steel hybrid technology, not only will your meals likely taste better, cleanup will be so much easier. That matters to me because I hate cleaning pans. Don't blow it again this year with socks and ugly sweaters. Say I love you with the gift of Hexclad, even though you're really thinking that doing the dishes will be so much easier for the rest of your life. That's right, Hexclad has a lifetime warranty. These are literally the last set of pots and pans you will ever have to buy. I hope they last for 100 years because that's how extra long I plan on living. It's time to upgrade your kitchen and your relationship. For a very limited time, you can shop Hexclad's biggest sale of the year and save up to 42% off. Just go to hexclad.com/askgeorge. Get the best deals of the year and support our show at the HEXCLADDOTCOM/Ask George. George, did you get one of these? I got the 6-piece set that features like 3 of their most popular pans, but it came with a lid that handles like all of the pans, which I really like. It's metal utensil safe. It's dishwasher safe, which I also really like. And my favorite thing is that they have this stay cool handle, so I don't burn my hand when I grab it, which I do all the time because I always forget to put one of those little, gloves on. Whatever. What are they? Yeah. Do you cook? Are you a cook?
No,
yeah, same, bro.
I don't cook, and you haven't even invited me over with all this stuff.
Oh yeah, sorry. Well, I will. We'll have you over the holidays, and I'll show you how I don't burn my hands. Whether you're treating yourself or looking for that perfect gift, now's the time to snag the cookware that everyone's talking about. For a very limited time, only our listeners can shop Hexclad's biggest sale of the year for up to 42% off with our exclusive link. Just head to hexclad.com/askgeorge to unlock their best deals of the year. Support our show and check them out at HEXCLAD.com/askgeorge. Bon appetit. Let's eat with Hexclad's revolutionary cookware. Happy cooking and happy holidays.
I like that. Bon appetit. Let's eat. Right.
Yeah, that's nice. I like a well-written ad. Makes it easier to read. Okay, so we do have some just like regular legal news to cover today too.
There is no regular legal news that we cover. He made it regular for a while.
So I wanted to ask you about Judge Marchand's order this week in the New York hush money case. So Trump had argued he was immune from prosecution in the case, and this week Judge Marchand railed the Supreme Court's immunity decision does not apply because the conduct at issue in the hush money case is private and wasn't part of his presidential responsibility. So what does that mean? Can he still be sentenced when he leaves office? If he ever leaves office?
In theory, if the case is stayed, and I had this conversation with JVL last week, if the case is stayed and sentencing and proceedings are held in abeyance until he leaves office, he could be sentenced for that. Now he's going to take an appeal of this last immunity ruling that Judge Marchand issued the other day, which is eminently correct. And it's correct because the only argument that Trump had that presidential immunity protected him from falsifying his books, his personal corporation's books and records, was that he had a discussion about the payoffs with Hope Hicks, who was his campaign spokesperson and general do it all and go for it all. And he brought her to the White House, and they had a conversation where they talked about whether it was a good idea for him to have paid the money that he paid and falsely, described in his books. And yes, she was a White House aide, and yes, he was the president at the time, but nothing about that conversation had anything to do with the exercise of his duties of office, because they were basically talking about events that had occurred before he was elected president. They are not that conversation, even though they were both in federal employment at the time, and even though they were both at the White House at the time, was no more connected to his official duties than the signing of those checks, which and the approval of those invoices that were sent to him by his secretary, Rona Graff, or whoever it was at Trump Tower, who didn't work for the government. I mean, it was just not public conduct. It was not conduct within the, quote, outer perimeter of a president's official duties, close quote. That's the language that is used in presidential immunity cases. It just was not. He was doing his own thing on his own time at that moment. So that was the only connection to presidential immunity. The argument was that Hope Hicks made such a dramatic witness that she made a big difference in the case, and therefore there was immunity, which is wrong for the reasons I've just said, and therefore it made a difference, which you have to show that there's a harmless error rule. But the judge also said it was harmless error because, truth of the matter be told, even though the Hope Hicks moment was very, very dramatic, and I'm sorry that was one day I was not in court. I did not see that testimony because she was very compelling in the sense that she was very tearful of having had to sit there and recount all these things, these bad things that Donald Trump did with Donald Trump, 10 feet away from her. And it was very emotionally distressing for her. But that drama didn't, it was cumulative in terms of the evidentiary value. There was no question he did this. Okay, there was really no factual dispute in the case, to tell the truth. His signatures were on these documents. So I think Judge Merchan got it right. I think what we will see, if he agrees to stay the sentencing pending Trump's presidency, however long that may last, and he could still be sentenced for it someday. But we'll see. I mean, I think there will probably be he will probably be allowed.
Won't he pardon himself, or like?
He cannot pardon himself because this was an offense committed in violation of the penal law of the state of New York. And the president, under the Constitution, only has the power, assuming he could pardon himself, that's a separate issue, but he only has the power to issue reprieves and pardons and commutations for offenses against the United States of America.
I see. Okay. What about the money to E. Jean Carroll? Does he still have to pay that?
As of now, he will. I mean, yes, he will. I believe he will, and the money is one thing that's really amazing for E. Jean is that the money is there already. He was forced to deposit the money with the court. He posted a reduced bond in the New York civil tax case, civil fraud case that was brought by Letitia James. But the money's basically in the bank, and there's an appeal right now pending before the United States Court of Appeals of the Second Circuit on whether the judgment of liability, not all $88.3 million, because this is the appeal from the first judgment, which is for the sexual abuse and the defamation that took place after he left. Some of the defamation that took place after he left office. That could come, that decision could come any day now, and I'm pretty convinced it's going to be an affirmance, and that's going to trigger his requirement to pay the first $5 million from the first trial. And the second case will come up, which is purely on the question of damages and how much the punitive damages would be, and whether she showed extensive enough damage to justify an $83.3 million verdict above and beyond the first $5 million. I think she's going to see all of that, or at least a substantial portion of that money.
Okay, good. All right, I'm going to do one more ad here before we get to Fani Willis, which I'm eager to talk about because I need you to explain it to me. So, notice how the days are shorter, but your to-do lists aren't? Power through your busy day with Factor's no prep, no mess meals. From breakfast to dinner and anything in between, Factor has easy, nutritious options to keep you fueled and feeling your best. Whether you like routine or you enjoy mixing things up, Factor has you covered with 35 different delicious meals every week and over 60 additional convenience options you can add to your box, like keto cookies, pressed juices, and smoothies. Don't let shorter days slow you down. Stay energized with America's #1 ready-to-eat meal delivery service. Factor lets you do you. Choose from 6 menu preferences to help you manage calories, maximize protein intake, avoid meat, or simply eat well balanced. Because Factor's meals are chef prepared and dietitian approved, you're going to love not only how Factor's meals taste, but also how they support your goals. And check this out, Factor is cheaper than takeout and dining out. Put the money you save towards holiday shopping and reaching your financial goals. Find guilt-free comfort foods like home-style chicken and gravy and loaded mashed potato pork chops, feel-good vegan options like sweet potato and chickpea curry, and globally inspired flavors like Peruvian shrimp and red pepper cauli grits. There's no sacrifice in quality for convenience with Factor. Weekly menus offer ways to treat yourself to a restaurant-like meal experience with gourmet plus dishes that feature premium proteins and seasonal sides like broccolini, leeks, and asparagus. Or maybe you'd like the mouth-watering truffle butter filet mignon or garlic herb roasted barramundi. Stay on your A game with quality ingredients you can trust and quality you can taste in every one of Factor's fresh, never frozen meals. Use your time more efficiently, so important during these dark months. Let Factor take shopping, prepping, cooking, and cleaning up off your daily list of things to do. George, you're our big Factor guy.
I love my Factor.
Yeah, you still eating it all the time?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, they have great breakfast too. I'm a big breakfast person, and I haven't had the barramunda. I'm a kind of more of a meat and chicken and potatoes guy, but all
I
those
don't know
dishes.
what barramundi is.
They also have great pastas. Their pastas are great too. I mean, they just got so many different things going on, and.
Well, I know they are popular around here. I see the Factor boxes arriving constantly because everyone in our office eats them. So you should too. Head to factormeals.com/50askgeorge and use code 50askgeorge to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code 50askgeorge at factormeals.com/50askgeorge to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping while your subscription is active. Okay, last topic.
Man.
Fani Willis.
A funny thing happens on the way to the courthouse.
That's funny.
That's my dad joke for the day. Thank you very much.
That's a good musical joke.
A funny thing happened on the way to the trial.
Talk to me about why the disqualification came down.
Yeah.
And what's it matter?
At this point, nothing matters. We are really, truly in the stage where nothing matters. I mean, this case is never going to go to trial against Donald Trump. And I mean, the only thing that could happen would be it could have gone to, or could still go to trial against Mark Meadows and Rudy Giuliani and about dozens of other people who are named in this gargantuan charging instrument. But then this is the dispute which, as you know, and as we discussed earlier in the year, is like one of my least favorite disputes because it's just so stupid. And it was so stupid of Fani Willis to have hired her boyfriend, whether he was former or present, doesn't matter. It was a kind of bad form. And her inability to kind of own up to it immediately, to clean it up, got her into more trouble. And, it turned out to be a huge break for the next co-president of the United States. So, basically the question was whether or not she had to recuse herself because she hired this guy. I don't think she did. I think there was I think ethically, the only ethical issue that was really involved at all really wasn't a legal ethics issue, but it was more of a government ethics issue of basically engaging, and it's not quite nepotism, but mixing your personal with your professional while you are running a very, very large and important government office. And yeah, she deserves to be dinged for that. But I absolutely never saw, and Judge McBurney, the judge in the district court, did not see any issue that could have possibly affected these defendants in this case. That this guy worked on it makes no difference to them, and they shouldn't have had any right to complain about it. And it wasn't really a basis for legal recusal from participating in a criminal litigation. So I think the Court of Appeals of Georgia got it wrong. It was a divided panel, 2-1 Republicans. All three judges were Republicans, and it was 2-1 in favor of against Fani Willis. And she is now saying she's going to take it up to the Supreme Court of Georgia, and we'll see what happens then.
Why? Why doesn't she? I mean, what?
I think the problem from the standpoint of prosecuting this case is, let's just leave apart Trump, who's got presidential immunity for the time being, or will have it on January 20th. The problem is when you disqualify a district attorney in Georgia, you not only disqualify that person who is serving as the elected district attorney, but you disqualify everybody in that entire office. And so therefore, if this case were ever to go forward in some fashion, some other prosecutor would have to basically learn some other prosecutor's office, they could assign somebody, I think. You have to talk to Georgia lawyers to know the exact mechanism. Another district attorney in some other county could take the case over, could be appointed to take the case over. I don't know whether that's going to happen because of the politics of the situation. In terms of the appeal, that's part of the problem, is it totally gums up the prosecution. But also I think Fani wants to be vindicated. Mm-hmm. She can't undo the damage she did to herself by this. And as I say, it was a government ethics kind of issue, but she might well be able to convince the Supreme Court of Georgia that it wasn't something that she should have been disqualified from participating in. And I think, if I were her, I'd probably continue to take it up. But the fact of the matter is, the most that could happen would be the Supreme Court of Georgia. I don't know how long they will take with things. Let's say 6 months to a year. I don't know. Could reverse and say, no, Fani Willis can handle this prosecution, or what's left of it. And there could be conceivably essentially a January 6th kind of trial involving everybody under the sun except for Donald J. Trump.
George, we're going to leave it there.
Yeah, we didn't even get to talk about Liz Cheney.
Well, hold on. You know what I'm thinking here, George? Yeah. JVL's waiting for me on the other side. And I really want to talk about Liz Cheney. So I think what we should do is say, hey, guys, if you want to hear me and George talk about Liz Cheney, we're going to grab JVL and do it over on the secret pod. So why don't you become...
I will do the secret pod. It's going to cost you some factor meals.
Yeah, that's so here's
OneSkin, but
here's what they got to do. They got to go subscribe and become a Bulwark Plus member. And then you can listen to JVL, George, and I discuss the Liz Cheney case because I really want to talk about it.
Okay.
So come join us, guys. Join Bulwark Plus and come over and listen.
Yeah.
Well, George Conway, he's a man with a plan. Got to sit down with Sarah Longwell, take a stand, explain all the legal problems they're piling high. With Donald Trump, oh my, oh my, oh my. He said, Sarah, let me break it down for you. There's obstruction of justice, corruption too, the legal tangles and troubles, they're growing fast. It's a storm that's gonna last.